After the first loss of an Abrams tank, we got several more confirmed losses. So far, there are 3 confirmed losses of Ukrainian M1A1SA tanks, including the first one I covered a couple of days ago. There were some claims that the 4th Abrams was lost, accompanied by this picture, but even Russians came out and said that this tank was not taken out at all and in fact managed to pull out. So for now, there are 3. The 2nd Abrams that got taken out is this one. We can see that the left track has been damaged and the tank got abandoned. But on the pictures and videos we have received, it doesn't seem like any other major damage had occurred. And we can clearly see all hatches open, including the driver's hatch, which would imply that the crew managed to evacuate safely. According to Russians, the tank was attacked by an RPG, which would make sense since we can see the exact place where the track got damaged, with a trace of an explosion around it. But it was definitely not a mine, since there is no crater and the explosion seems to have been rather small, well, smaller than what a mine would cause, so an RPG would make a lot of sense. After that, Russians managed to hit it with a couple of FPV drones, where we actually get the footage, unlike the first one. It appears that the first drone hit the side of the turret, which would probably not do much, but the second one seems to have struck the roof of the turret. But the problem is that all these videos and pictures of these Abrams got released at an approximately the same time, so it's hard to tell if some, if any, are showing the aftermath of these drone strikes. And in one of those videos we can see the area around which this tank got hit. It is very close to the place where the first Abrams got taken out. Later in this video we can see some fire burning on the side of the turret, which could be the aftermath of the first FPV drone. But it is not clear if this is before or after the second one, since this could be them trying to see if the first drone did any damage, I don't know. The third loss of an Abrams is a pretty interesting one. At first, we got a picture of it, where we can see that it is missing some explosive reactive armor arret tiles on the left side of the hull. We can also see that at least the hatches on the turret are open, which could indicate that at least some of the crew survived. And then, we got a video of the tank actually getting engaged, and it was taken out by Cornet missiles. The video shows thermal footage and we can see the tank driving on the road. The missile is in flight pretty much from the start of the video, and judging by the time it took to reach the target, it is probably several kilometers away, probably more than 3. The first missile hits the tank, and it appears to have hit it in the exact same spot on the hull where we can see ERA tiles missing in the aftermath picture. The tank drives to a halt and we can see no reaction from the tank whatsoever. At this point, the crew might be trying to leave the tank, but it's very hard to tell from the distance with the thermal footage. They can't really be seen in the entirety of the video, but if they're crawling out of the hatches then I doubt we would see much anyway. But the tank also appears to be engaged by artillery, since we can see some explosions around the tank after it gets hit. Maybe they are trying to engage the crew, who knows. Anyway, the second missile is then launched and hits the tank. It appears to have hit the side of the turret, and there are some scorch marks on the side of it in the aftermath picture. Now, as I said, it is very hard to tell what happened to the crew. The tank most definitely got penetrated. Cornet has 1100 to 1300mm penetration after ERA, depending on the variant, and since ARET is not made to counter tandem-shaped missiles like Cornet, the penetration definitely occurred. This is further confirmed by the tank completely driving to a halt and having no response whatsoever, so who knows what got damaged inside or who got injured. With this flight path and it being a shaped charged munition, it is very hard to tell, so hopefully we will get more details about this one. But as things stand right now, it is definitely damaged and penetrated by Cornet. Oh, and we know it is the same tank because of the transmission tower in the background, forgot to mention that one. Now, can these tanks actually be recovered or repaired? Well, if any of the footage of the second Abrams we have seen shows the aftermath of the second FPV hit, then it can definitely be recovered and repaired. For the third one, it is hard to tell. The ammo appears not to have burnt out, so that's a plus. But we don't know the extent of the damage inside. It is possible that it can be in fact repaired, but I have a lot of doubts for the first one. As I said in my last video, where I analyzed the loss of this tank, the smoke was coming out of the crew compartment, which means that something caught fire in the compartment that is actually isolated from the ammunition. And in the video we have received, showing first 2 losses, we can see extensive damage to the engine deck, indicating that the ammo cook-off might have melted the bustle and had the fire spread under it to the engine deck, which is something that has happened before to Abrams tanks in the past. And considering the smoke from the crew compartment, this tank cannot be repaired quickly at all. If we disregard the smoke from the inside, just repairing the engine and the bustle would require a major overhaul. But since we don't know the extent of the damage inside the tank, it could end up being a complete loss. This is something that has happened to Abrams tanks in the past as well. This would be nothing new. It's a tank. It is one of the safest tanks in the world. It is the safest when it comes to the post-penetration survivability, but that does not mean it is completely immune. It is harder to completely destroy than most of the tanks out there, but it is not impossible, not for a long shot. I will say something I have said when we saw the first losses of the Russian T-90M tanks. If these tanks keep getting used, we will definitely see more of them being lost. That would be all for now. If we get more details about these tanks, or if any new interesting losses pop out, I will try my best to cover them. If you like my content, you can support me on Patreon. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a nice day.